Chapter 1. Jess. We found the keys in the lockbox on a Tuesday. Marcus spotted it first, a rusted iron box half buried in the dirt floor of the old Kellerman factory, the one that's been abandoned since the 60s. We'd been urban exploring all summer, me and Marcus and Owen and Mika, documenting the decay, taking photos for Mika's art project. The factory was our last spot before school started again. The box wasn't locked. Inside, 12 keys on a steel ring, each one identical except for the numbers stamped into their heads, 1 through 12. Rusted steel, old-fashioned skeleton keys, the kind you'd see in movies about Victorian mansions. "What do you think they open?" Marcus asked, holding the ring up to the light filtering through broken windows. I shrugged. Probably nothing. They're ancient. But then we found the door. It was in the basement, in a corner we'd almost missed because the shadows were so thick down there. A barn door, just wood and iron hinges, nothing special except for the lock. A simple keyhole that looked like it would fit the keys perfectly. Marcus grinned at me. "Want to see what's behind door number 1? I should have said no. Should have told him to leave it alone, that we should just take the keys and go, maybe donate them to a museum or throw them in the river. But I was 18 and stupid and in love with a boy who smiled like he'd never met a boundary he couldn't cross. "Sure," I said. "Why not?" Marcus selected key 1. It slid into the lock like it was made for it, and when he turned it, I heard the tumblers fall with a satisfying click. He pulled the door open. The space beyond was dark, not basement dark or nighttime dark, but empty dark, like looking into a hole in reality. No walls, no floor, just infinite black. "Weird," Marcus said, and stepped through the doorway. The sound he made wasn't a scream. It was worse, a wet tearing noise, like fabric ripping but meat thick, and then Marcus was gone. Not pulled away, not fallen, just gone, and in his place was blood. So much blood. It sprayed from the empty doorway in impossible directions, coating the walls, the ceiling, my face. I screamed and stumbled backward, and the door slammed shut on its own. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, hyperventilating, staring at the blood-splattered door. Then I ran. I called Owen from my car, called 911, told them my boyfriend had an accident at the old factory. "Please come quick, something terrible happened." The police found me in the parking lot, shaking so hard I couldn't hold my phone. They went into the factory with flashlights and radios, and 20 minutes later they came back out looking confused and disturbed. They'd found Marcus. Parts of him. His left hand was in the basement near the door. His right leg was in the main factory floor, 30 meters away. His torso was in the parking lot. I'd driven right past it without seeing it in the dark. And his head. His head was found 3 days later, 12 kilometers away, in a drainage ditch near the highway. Still warm, still bleeding, like it had been severed seconds ago, not days. The police questioned me for hours. I told them about the door, the keys, the darkness. They found it, just a normal barn door that opened onto a normal basement wall. No blood, no keys. The lockbox was gone. They ruled it an industrial accident. Somehow. Equipment malfunction, they said, even though there was no equipment. I was released with a trauma counselor's business card and instructions to call if I remembered anything else. I went home and found the keys in my jacket. All 12 of them, on their steel ring. I'd never touched them. Marcus had been holding them when he opened the door. But here they were, ice cold and impossibly heavy, like they wanted to be found. Chapter 2. Owen. Jess called me at 2 a.m., 3 days after the funeral. "I need you to come to the factory," she said. Her voice was flat, emptied out. "I found something." I went because Jess was my best friend, and she just watched her boyfriend die in a way that made no sense to anyone. I went because the police report had holes you could drive a truck through. I went because part of Marcus was still out there. They'd only recovered 4 major pieces, meaning there were parts of him somewhere, missing, and I couldn't stand the thought of him being incomplete. Jess was waiting in the basement with a flashlight and the keys. "I thought they took those as evidence," I said. "They keep coming back." She held up the ring, and in the flashlight beam, I saw her hand was shaking. "I threw them in the river. Woke up with them under my pillow. I locked them in a safe. They were in my backpack the next morning. They won't leave." "Jess, you need to talk to someone. I need you to help me get him back." She looked at me with eyes that had dark circles like bruises. "Owen, please. He's out there. Pieces of him. And I think they're still alive." His head was warm. 3 days later, it was still bleeding. Time works differently through the door. Maybe what? Maybe we can put him back together like Humpty Dumpty. Maybe we can find where he went. Maybe the other keys go somewhere else. Somewhere we can bring him back from. I looked at the door. It was just a door. Old wood, iron hinges, a simple lock. "Which key did he use?" I asked. "1." I took the keys from her hand. They were heavier than they should be, and cold in a way that went beyond temperature. I found key 7 and held it up. "If I try this one and something goes wrong, I'll pull you back," Jess said. "I promise." I should have known better. Should have left her there and called her parents, gotten her actual help. But Marcus had been my friend too, and the thought that pieces of him were somewhere, maybe conscious, maybe suffering. I put key 7 in the lock and turned it. The door opened onto a room. Not darkness this time, just a room. Concrete floor, fluorescent lights humming overhead, walls painted institutional beige. It looked like a storage space or a bunker, completely normal except for one thing. It was too big. I could see the far wall, but it was wrong. The room extended backward into space that shouldn't exist. The factory basement was maybe 20 feet wide, but this room stretched for what looked like hundreds of yards, and the walls bent at angles that made my eyes hurt to follow. The ceiling was too high and too low at the same time. The floor sloped upward while staying level. I took one step inside, and the geometry tried to break my brain. "Owen?" Jess's voice behind me sounded very far away. I looked back. The doorway was there, but it was also receding, stretching away from me even though I wasn't moving. The space between me and Jess was growing, expanding, and I realized that if I went any deeper into this impossible room, I might never find my way back. Something moved in the distance. Deep in the room, where the walls folded into configurations my mind refused to process, I saw a shape. It might have been Marcus. It might have been what was left of him, wandering the endless wrong-angled corridors of wherever this was. "Marcus!" I shouted. The shape turned, and I saw that it wasn't Marcus, or if it was, it had been here too long. The geometry of the room had gotten into it, bent it, folded it like origami. It moved toward me with too many joints, limbs bending in directions that shouldn't exist. I backed through the doorway fast. Jess grabbed my arm and pulled, and I fell backward into the basement. The door slammed shut. We sat there breathing hard, staring at the closed door. "It's not him," I said finally. "Whatever's in there, it's not Marcus anymore. We can't get him back, Jess. We need to leave this alone." She was crying, silent tears running down her face, her hands gripping the keys so hard her knuckles were white. "You're right," she whispered. "I know you're right." I believed her. I shouldn't have. Chapter 3. Mika. They were lying. I knew they were lying because physics doesn't work the way they described. Bodies don't teleport 12 kilometers. Rooms don't extend into impossible dimensions. Jess was traumatized, and Owen was enabling her delusion, and I was tired of watching my friends fall apart over a tragic accident that had a rational explanation they were too emotional to accept. So I went to the factory alone. Found the door exactly where they said it would be. Found the keys Jess had hidden them in her locker at school, and I'd known her combination since sophomore year. Borrowed them without asking because I knew she tried to stop me if I told her what I was planning. I was going to document this, prove it was just a door to a wall, or an old utility tunnel, or whatever normal thing it actually was. Show them the footage and make them see that grief was making them irrational. I had my phone out, recording, when I selected a key at random. Key 9. The door opened onto a hallway. Normal hallway, fluorescent lights, linoleum floor. Looked like a hospital or an office building. I could see doors along both sides, all closed, numbers on each one. "See?" I said to the camera. "It's just a hallway. There's nothing." I stepped through to get a better angle, and that's when time broke. I saw myself ahead of me in the corridor. Not a reflection, me, wearing the same clothes, holding the same phone, mouth open in the same expression of confusion I was currently wearing. But she was older, gray hair, lines around her eyes, 40 years older at least. She looked at me and started screaming. "Don't!" future me shrieked. "Don't come through! You can't!" I turned to run back through the door, but I wasn't in the hallway anymore. I was in one of the rooms, and it was full of versions of me. Young me, old me, child me, elderly me, all of us scattered through time and space. All of us trapped in this corridor that existed in every moment simultaneously. And then I felt it, the pulling. My body being drawn in multiple temporal directions, being spread across seconds and years and decades. I screamed and grabbed the doorframe, felt my fingers start to separate, bone pulling away from bone as different versions of my hand existed in different times. I yanked myself backward with everything I had, and something tore. I fell through the doorway into the basement, and the door slammed shut. I looked down at my hands and saw that my left pinky finger was gone. Not cut off, just gone, the skin sealed over like it had never existed. My body had edited itself to account for the missing piece. But I could still feel it. Could feel it somewhere else, sometime else, trapped in that hallway of moments. I ran. Left the keys, left the factory, drove home and tried to forget, but I couldn't, because my missing finger kept appearing in wrong places. I found it in my bathroom sink the next morning, just a finger, severed cleanly, still warm and bleeding. It vanished when I tried to pick it up. I saw it in a photograph from my 10th birthday party, there in the background, my adult finger lying on the cake table. It existed in multiple times, and so did I now. Part of me was still in that corridor, scattered across decades, and I understood what had happened to Marcus. He hadn't died. He'd been distributed across time and space, his pieces existing in different whens and wheres, all of them still technically alive, still bleeding, still warm. I couldn't destroy the keys. I tried. Threw them in a furnace, and they were in my pocket when I got home. Took them to a metal shop to have them melted down, and the owner looked at me confused because I wasn't holding anything. The keys decided if they could be seen, if they could be lost, and they didn't want to be. They wanted to be used. Chapter 4. Jess again. I found Mika in her apartment, catatonic on the couch, staring at her left hand. When I came in, she looked at me with eyes that had stopped processing reality correctly. "It's still there," she whispered. "My finger. I can feel it in 17 different times. I'm in there with it. Parts of me. I'm watching myself right now from inside the corridor. Do you understand? I'm in 2 places, maybe more." I understood. I understood because I'd been having dreams. Marcus calling me from inside the impossible room, his voice bent by the geometry, promising me that if I just came to get him, he could be whole again. The keys had gotten into my head the same way they'd gotten into Mika's time-scattered consciousness. I went back to the factory one last time. Owen tried to stop me, called my parents, tried to get me committed, but I'd gotten good at pretending to be fine, smiling the right way, saying the therapeutic words that counselors wanted to hear. And when everyone thought I was safe, I went to the basement with the keys in the door and the terrible choice I'd already made. Key 12. The last one, the one none of us had tried. I put it in the lock and turned it, and the door opened onto green. Not a room, not a hallway, just green. Organic green, living green, green that extended in every direction, including ones that didn't have names. It filled my entire field of vision, and I realized I was looking at a surface, skin or scales or something else, of something so vast that I couldn't see where it ended. It was alive. The entity was alive, and it was aware, and it had been waiting behind this door for longer than human consciousness had existed. I could feel its attention turned toward me, like a spotlight swinging around, and when it saw me, when it really saw me, I felt my mind begin to fold. Memories poured into my head, not human memories. Memories from before time worked linearly, from angles of reality where cause and effect happened simultaneously, from the spaces between moments where this thing existed. I remembered being born in the gravitational collapse of stars. I remembered eating civilizations that had never existed in linear history. I remembered waiting behind 12 doors in 12 configurations of space, patient as entropy, because eventually everything opened everything else. I tried to scream, but the sound came out wrong, layered, recursive, like hearing my own voice from every moment of my life at once. The entity moved, not toward me. Movement wasn't the right word for what it did. It reconfigured, brought more of itself into the narrow bandwidth of reality I could perceive, and I saw that the green surface I'd been staring at was a single cell, maybe a scale. The entity was so large that a single part of it filled the entire door's aperture, and the whole of it. The whole of it existed in spaces I couldn't conceptualize. I understood then. The door wasn't a door, it was an aperture. A hole punched through reality's membrane, and the 12 keys were 12 different focal lengths, 12 different ways of viewing what existed on the other side. Most of them killed you because human bodies couldn't exist in those configurations of space. A few, like Key 7, were survivable because they opened onto geometries that were merely wrong instead of impossible. But Key 12 opened onto the thing itself, the vast green intelligence that existed in the gaps between dimensions. And it was looking at me with something like curiosity, like I was an ant that had crawled into a cathedral, and it was wondering if I was capable of worship. My eyes started to burn. I realized I was trying to claw them out, that my fingers were digging into my own sockets, because if I couldn't see it, maybe the memories would stop coming. Maybe I could stop remembering things that hadn't happened yet, stop knowing the names of colors that didn't exist, stop understanding mathematics that broke causality. Someone pulled me back. I fought them. I needed to stop seeing, needed to stop knowing, but strong hands dragged me through the doorway into the basement, and the door slammed shut, and I was blind. Not because I'd clawed out my eyes, I hadn't gotten that far, but because my brain had stopped processing visual input correctly. I could see light and dark, shapes and colors, but they didn't cohere into meaning anymore. My occipital lobe had been rewritten by the entity's memories, and now all I could see was green. Vast, impossible green, extending into dimensions my biology couldn't support. Jess? Jess, can you hear me? Owen's voice. He'd followed me. Of course he had. I tried to tell him about the green, tried to explain what I'd seen, but the words wouldn't form correctly. My language centers had been compromised by memories of communication systems that didn't use words, that didn't use sequential meaning, that conveyed entire histories in single gestures across probability spaces. I made a sound instead. It wasn't human. Owen picked me up. I felt him carrying me out of the factory, heard him on the phone calling for help, felt the transition from concrete to grass to ambulance to hospital bed. But I couldn't stop seeing the green. I can't stop seeing it now. They think I'm catatonic. The doctors say I've had a psychotic break, that I'm unresponsive to stimuli, but I'm very responsive. I'm responding to the entity that's still showing me its memories, still teaching me what it knows, still drawing me back toward the door that Owen closed but couldn't lock because I'm still holding the keys. I'm always holding the keys now. Even when they take them away, put them in evidence bags or safety deposit boxes or burn them in cleansing fires, the keys come back. They appear in my hands, cold and heavy and inevitable, because the entity wants them to. The entity wants someone to open the door again, wants to show another person the green, wants to be seen. I can feel it waiting behind all 12 configurations, patient, eternal, knowing that sooner or later, someone will find the keys, someone will find the door. Someone will turn the lock and step through, and the entity will be there, vast and green and full of memories that destroy the ability to form new ones, and another person will end up like me, staring at nothing, seeing everything, trapped between the reality they were born into and the one that exists in the gaps. The keys are in my hands right now. I can feel them. 12 keys, 12 doors, 12 ways of seeing what should never be seen. And I want to use them again. God help me, I want to see the green.
If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like, comment, or share this video with your friends. Subscribe to our channel to hear more stories like this one.